Hey everybody, it's Al with BobCAD. So today I wanted to pick up a couple of topics that have to do with multiple work offsets and defining different stock shapes and setting your zeros and posting your code. So I'm going to take this facing example here and we're going to get right into it. We're going to create a new job. It's a milling job, and we're going to run our stock wizard. Now, what we really have here is we have two setups. They're real close to each other, but really their position to each other will not matter because our origin will determine where the zero is for the part. Okay. In order to select the two stock shapes, we're going to use wireframe, and then we'll pick our geometry, and then we need the chain select. So that's a shift and a left click. That gets the first shape, and then we'll shift and left click the second shape, and then we'll hit our space bar, and you can see we have our two shapes, our rectangle and our circle or cylinder selected. Now you can adjust the height of the stock, etc. Now when we next through this, the next thing that we're doing is we're defining where our origin is. Now we want to look at our first shape here, because we're going to have a 54 work offset here, and then we'll have a 55 work offset on center on this one. So we're going to click on origin. We'll move our mouse over this this line right here, and then we're going to hold down shift and left click, and that will give us our snap points, and then we can pick where we want our zero to be. So that's going to be the first work offset, and then we're going to choose OK. Alright, now when you click away from your geometry, here let me turn down the transparency. When you click away from your geometry, you'll see the world coordinate system. When you click on your machine setup, that will show you where the zero is for that setup. Now we want to create another setup for this cylinder over here, so we'll right click on machine setup. We'll go down to additional functions. We'll click insert setup, and then we're going to right click and edit our machine setup number 2. Now this one we're going to set our zero on the center of the cylinder, so we'll click on origin, hold down shift, left click on the circle, and then we're going to grab the point that's right in the center there. Okay, so that's our zero for setup number 2. Now we do want to go to where it says work offset and click on this, and we're going to change this from work offset number 1 to work offset number 2. Depending on your post processor, work offset number 1 is 54, number 2 is 55, 56, etc. So we're going to pick number 2, and we're going to choose OK, and then we're going to choose OK. So at this point we've set up two different origins, basically two different vices with two different parts that we want to machine. So we'll go to the first part here. We're going to do mill 2-axis, select geometry, shift left click on our rectangle, space bar, next, define how deep we want to cut, next, choose our facing cycle, next. I'm just going to use the default settings here. This is fine. And then I'm going to compute, and you can see I get my facing cycle for the first part. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this feature, and then I'm going to paste it in the second setup. I'm going to reselect my geometry. Oops, I missed it. Okay, and then I'm going to recompute. Now the thing is when we copy this feature from the first setup into the second setup, we also copied the work offset, so you do need to go to this feature and change your posting to work offset number 2, and then choose finish. So this one's 54, this one's 55. Now let's go ahead and post our code. Okay, so we're going to go up to milling job, and then we're going to choose post, and this is going to generate our code. Now as we look through this, you'll notice that we have a 54 for the first face cycle. We get an M00 between our work offsets, and then in the next routine, we don't have our 55. So why is that? Well, let's get into the post and take a look. So we can edit our post, and then we're just going to select it and choose edit, and that will open the post processor up in a text editor. Now if you don't normally edit post processors, you should save the post as a different revision so you can go back and undo whatever changes that you might have made. If you look across the left side here, you'll see there are different block numbers here, and so what you do is go down to block number 26, and you can turn debug on and save the file, and then you can repost your code. And now when you repost your code, you'll notice that there are all these indicators that tell you which block of the post processor these codes are coming from. So when we get down to where our next work offset is, we have machine setup change, we have our M00, we have our next machine setup, and then we have our block number 4 tool change, move to cut, same tool. And you'll see we have nothing in here for our work offset. So we want to change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up to the block number 2, and I'm going to grab and copy some of this code here, which is this block right here, rapid move, force XY, spindle on, all this stuff. Okay, Control C. And then now that I have that, I'm going to bring that down here where this one is, and I'm just going to Control V, and I'm going to paste right on top of that, and I'm going to do File, Save, and then I'll go ahead and post my code. And now when we get down to this block here, you'll notice that we have our G90, our G55, our X and Y, spindle speed, spindle on. Okay, now we didn't really, the spindle probably would still be on between the cycles. We didn't tell it to turn it off, I don't think. Let's go back up. Yeah, no, we didn't tell it to turn it off. We did do a stop here. But again, not really trying to get into the exact format of the code that you would want, just how you can get that 55 in there and some changes. I don't think that I would have that spindle speed and spindle on, but sometimes when you're using the same tool for a different operation, you may have a different spindle speed, so we may want to keep the S value. The other thing that I wanted to look at too is as you go from 54 to the 55 block right here, you'll notice it ends at 1 inch off of Z0 in 54, and then its next move is to go to an XY position in 55. Now if your one vise has the part on the top and the second vise has the part flipped up, Z1 in 54, if it were to move in X and Y over to 55, it may run right into the vise. Okay, so what we may want to do is we may want to post the Z movement prior to our X and Y so that the tool moves up and over. So we can do that pretty easily. We could do, we can come into here where it has force X. What we're going to do is we can, there's a couple of ways we can do this. I'm going to cut this and paste this over here. We'll do N, comma, and then so we have this X and Y and everything else that we have here. And then what I want to do is take this force XR, copy, paste this over here, turn this into a Z, turn this into a ZR, file, save, and then we can repost it. And now you can see when we get down here, we'll have it move in Z first. So it moves to Z1, then it moves in X and Y. So that way, 55 Z1 would be above the Z0 in the 55 work offset. This will get the tool up and out of the way so that it doesn't run into one vise if you had one part that was at a higher Z level than the other part. So again, just a quick, and if you're all done here, I mean, you can continue making edits, but if you're all done, you can turn debug off. You can save the post, close it out, and then post up your code. So again, a quick lesson on work offsets and editing your post processors. If there's any questions or comments, feel free to reply back to the Facebook, the YouTube, or whatever thread this post or this video may be posted in. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.